You know when a team hits number one, every single game becomes a title defense. The target on your back is just massive. So in Michigan, the brand new number one team walked into one of the toughest arenas in the country. The question wasn't if they'd get punched in the mouth, but how they were going to punch back. So let's dive into their absolute masterclass of a performance.
All right, here's our game plan for breaking down this dominant 91-80 win. We're going to start with the insane pressure they were under. Then we'll hit that pivotal run that just changed everything. After that, we'll analyze their three-pronged attack, reveal their secret weapon, and finally, look at what this all really means for their ultimate goal.
And that's exactly what this felt like, a heavyweight bout. Coach Dusty May knew his guys were walking into a straight-up brawl. They weren't just expecting a fight, they were ready to go the distance, ready to take some hits, and, more importantly, deliver their own knockout blows.
Okay, let's really set the stage here. For the first time since the 2012-13 season, Michigan is the number one team in the AP poll. I mean, that's over a decade of waiting to be back on top. But the party couldn't last long, because their schedule was just absolutely brutal.
First up, a trip to West Lafayette to take on number 7 Purdue in Mackey Arena, a place where winning streaks for visitors just go to die. And with number 3 Duke waiting in the wings just a few days later, a lot of people were wondering, could their time on top be incredibly short-lived? So Purdue comes out swinging, right? They score the first couple of baskets, the crowd is absolutely electric. And for the first 7 minutes or so, it really looked like this was going to be a down-to-the-wire dogfight. And then, Michigan just flipped a switch. It started with a couple of free throws that gave Michigan a lead they would never, ever give back. And then, it happened. An absolutely suffocating 16-0 run. In just a few minutes, Michigan didn't just take control, they built a 20-point lead and basically silenced that crowd for the rest of the night. And you don't have to take my word for it. Purdue's own coach, Matt Painter, he pointed to this exact moment as the game changer. That run, it didn't just put points on the board, it completely sucked the energy out of what had been a raucous, deafening arena. That was a statement. So, how'd they do it? I mean, how did they pull that off on the road? Well, it wasn't just one thing. It was a devastatingly effective three-pronged attack that Purdue just had no answer for. Let's break down the pillars of this incredible victory. Michigan's biggest X factor all season has been their size. And in the first half of this game, their 7'3" center, Aday Mara, was just an absolute force of nature down in the paint. Just check out this one sequence that perfectly captures his impact. First, he forces a miss right at the rim. On the other end, he finds a teammate for an easy layup. Then he's right back on D, altering another one of Purdue's shots. And to top it all off, he tips out an offensive board that leads directly to a Michigan three-pointer. Just total domination. And get this, look at these numbers. He did all of that, 10 points, 8 boards, 2 assists, 2 blocks, in just 13 minutes before he got into some foul trouble. I mean, his efficiency was just completely off the charts. But here's what makes Michigan so lethal. If you focus too much on their size inside, they will absolutely burn you from the outside. That size advantage gets even bigger because they have elite shooters all over the court. And on this particular night, it was their second best three-point shooting performance of the entire season. They went 13 for 23 from deep. After missing their first 4 shots, they were basically unconscious, hitting 8 of their next 12 to close out that first half and build that massive lead. So the third prong was just clutch play and command from the point guard spot. The game was supposed to feature Purdue's All-American candidate Braden Smith, but it was Michigan's Elliot Cadeau who played like the best guard on the floor, completely outdueling him. And here's the really crucial part. Whenever Purdue even hinted at making a comeback, Cadeau just slammed the door shut. He came out of halftime and just took over, scoring 12 points in the first 8 minutes alone. He was aggressive, he was poised, and he finished with 17 points and 7 assists, just controlling the game when it mattered most. All right, so you've got a dominant big man, you've got red-hot shooting, and you've got a star guard taking over. That's already tough to beat, right? But Michigan had one more weapon that truly broke Purdue's back: their unbelievable depth. You know, great starters are one thing, but what happens when they need a rest? For most teams, there's a serious drop-off. But for Michigan? Nope. It's just a second wave coming at you, and the numbers here, they really tell the whole story. The difference is just staggering. 34 bench points for Michigan compared to just 15 for Purdue. That is a 19-point advantage right there. You had guys like LJ Kaysen and freshman Trey McKinney coming in and dropping 13 points apiece. There was just no let-up, ever. And who said it best? Once again, the opposing coach. Matt Painter summed up Michigan's biggest advantage perfectly. He said, with most teams, you get a bit of a breather when the subs come in, but with these guys, the pressure just keeps coming. They don't make a dip. So what you have is an absolutely dominant road win to back up that #1 ranking. It was an incredible performance, no doubt. But for this Michigan team, it was just one step in a much, much longer journey. This was test #1 of a really grueling week. And what's their reward for passing with flying colors? A date with #3 Duke on Saturday. The life of a #1 team never ever gets easier. Which, it brings us to the final crucial question. If being #1 right now isn't the main goal, then what is all this for? What is the real finish line that this team is actually chasing? And there it is. Coach May says it all. The rankings, the hype, these huge regular season wins, they're all great. But this team has its eyes on a much bigger prize. They don't want to be #1 now. They want to be the last team standing, #1 on April 7th. And honestly, after a performance like this one, who would bet against them?